Hello everybody, it's Starrapter here. Welcome back for another episode of This Week in Star Wars Canon, where every week you can look forward to me breaking it all down for you guys from the comics, the novels, the TV series, the video games, and anything else that connects to the Star Wars films. I talk about it. So this week is a big week for comics. We have 3 of them from Marvel. The first one is the long-awaited adaptation of Thrawn. So this is Thrawn #1. It's written by Jody Houser with artwork done by Luke Ross, who both of these creators are experienced in Star Wars comics. We have Jody Houser, who has written already the adaptation for Rogue One, so she has her feet wet in the Star Wars universe. And how does this fare for her first comic adaptation of a novel? I think so far she's off to a great start. So this comic, if you read the novel, it takes place from the origin pretty much of Thrawn in the known galaxy, where Eli Vanto first finds him on this backwater planet, and it goes all the way up to the point where Thrawn actually gets his own command of his first vessel, and he's taking Eli Vanto alongside with him. In his comic, Thrawn meets the Emperor for the first time, so it's pretty eventful for this issue. So I want to break some things down. What did I enjoy about this issue? In particular, first off, I love how it opens. As Jody Houser did with the previous run of the Rogue One adaptation, she has a different kind of opening. Instead of your normal yellow crawl that's in front of every Marvel comic, she does something called Vanto's Log, and it's pretty cool because it just lays out what his mission is, Eli Vanto's mission, and a couple different in-universe type explanations for where this comic starts. So that was a really cool nod to what she already did in Rogue One. Also, speaking of the beginning of this issue, I think this starts off, I don't think I could think of a better way for starting off the comic and the way they did in the book. It's a very great appreciation of what they did in the book. So we have Thrawn, he's got the long hair, which is really neat seeing him that way, and he's just picking off these Death Star troopers, or Navy troopers as they call them, and the Stormtroopers, which I thought was very interesting because they call them Stormtroopers, but they're obviously Phase 2 clone armor. So does that mean in canon, and this might be a question for Pablo Hidalgo, does that mean that there are actually humans, not clones, that are actually using the clone trooper armor for a while? So that is very fascinating because I love the Phase 2 clone trooper armor. But other than that, yeah, I love how they just have this really brief but very effective sequence. You know, it was only 2 or 3 pages of showing Thrawn, and you have this narration by Eli Vanto, which I think is very effective for this comic because they have to squeeze so much from the novel into these 6 short issues. So I really enjoyed that first sequence, and you know, it's just great how it translates with Houser. So far she's doing an excellent job of being the scribe, of just bringing it all together, and the artwork is fantastic, especially some of those facial shots of Thrawn, especially in the later parts of this issue, remind me a lot of the recently re-released covers for the Herald of the Empire and, you know, the Dark Force Rising, The Last Command. You know, the Thrawn trilogy, they got re-released on these novels, and they look very similar to that. There's just so much going on in these panels. I love the panel design themselves, like the background, there's like some space, and it just feels like this is pretty cinematic for the most part. Speaking of the artwork, I think for the first time, now correct me if I'm wrong, we actually see the Emperor's throne on Coruscant, which is really part of the repurposed Jedi Temple once, you know, Palpatine took over the Empire. So that to me is pretty interesting. And just one final thing I want to say. Now, like I said, this was a great issue and all, but I'm kind of worried, and this was my reservations for getting into the Thrawn comics, was, is this the best choice for the story team for Lucasfilm to actually tackle this as their first comic adaptation? Because when I read the book, Thrawn, I did feel not bored, but I definitely felt like there could have been a little bit more action. And, you know, just reading the first issue, there is like one action scene, or a couple really, and that's about it. So I kind of worry that, you know, a lot of readers might be a little thrown off by this comic series. But other than that, I'm very much looking forward to it. This comic is coming at a great time because in a couple days we're going to get the beginning of the end for Star Wars Rebels. So we're going to see where Thrawn, you know, ends up in Rebels. I'm hoping he still survives. I'm hoping that they don't kill him off after being in just Rebels only. And I'm feeling pretty optimistic that he'll survive, because if you if you don't forget, we have a Thrawn novel, the sequel to Thrawn Alliances, coming out at the end of July, I believe. So this comic is a great way to kind of hold us over every month until July, because if this goes out once a month or 6 issues, it's going to take us all the way up until the release date of Thrawn Alliances, and I really can't wait for that book. And the next comic I want to talk about this week is Darth Vader, issue number 11. It starts off a brand new arc called The Rule of 5. This is part 1. So getting into this, we have Darth Vader. We know he had sent out his Inquisitorius to go seek these Jedi that have possibly survived, because now Vader has this list and there's might be like these Jedi younglings running around. So the ones that have survived Order 66, the Empire is having him and the Inquisitors go out and track them down. So he is seeing personally to this one ping in this bar that basically somebody said there was a Jedi there, right? So he goes there, and there's also the 9th sister that happens to be there. And, well, Darth Vader, you know, he's kind of investigating this bar, and all of a sudden, there is a hit out on Darth Vader. Yes, there are these bounty hunters that attempt to kill Darth Vader, and they have a pretty great plan, but unfortunately, Darth Vader gets the upper hand, and by the end of the issue, he seems to know the location of where this person is that hired these bounty hunters. So this is shaping up to be a very interesting arc for the Darth Vader series. So getting into the things I liked about this issue. First off, I'm thinking I've seen Black Kirstenton in that bar somewhere. I mean, at least you see the back of him. So we know it would exist in canon for him to kind of be around this time period. So that's kind of cool. I do like the 9th sister a lot, because she is the one character that is just not even afraid of Vader at all. You know, she is actually, like, her Jedi power is really to, like, sense others' emotions, and she senses that there is a reason why Vader came here, and it's to basically kill more Jedi. He's trying to satisfy his rage, kind of like Darth Maul did in that Darth Maul comic that came out not too long ago. So, a very interesting, nuanced character that isn't afraid of death, and just, you know, doesn't really give a crap, to be quite honest with you, as she just doesn't even go to help Vader and just completely ignores him when Vader kind of calls for her assistance. So that was pretty funny. But overall, this issue was a great action issue. There was a swoop bike chase with Vader with his lightsaber out. I mean, there's not much more awesome shots in the Vader series than him with that red lightsaber out like that. And just, you know, the overall part of the bar was really cool. Seeing Vader in a bar just force choking multiple people at once, you know, very Rogue One-esque. I also did enjoy seeing Darth Vader having his lightsaber actually destroyed. Now that was really interesting, because there's this weapon that the one character used called a tractor rifle. So you see her trying to lock on to his lightsaber. He's trying to pull it back, and it literally just destroys itself. He takes the red crystal with him, so now we know that I think he's going to create that legendary lightsaber hilt that we see throughout the original trilogy. And finally, I did enjoy getting the perspective of a family of bounty hunters. That's very interesting, because, you know, in this age of the Galactic Empire, it could be very hard on families. So I guess this family had to resort to a life of kind of, not crime, but I guess bounty hunting is higher than crime, because they have a code, and they're saying, like, after they get free from Vader interrogating them, the one person's telling the daughter, look, don't take revenge, that is our way, we abide by the code, and all this kind of thing. And I'm very surprised that, at least from what we've seen, that Vader actually didn't kill the family. And the last thing I want to talk about this week is Poe Dameron, issue number 24. This is part 5 of the Legend Found arc, and we're getting closer and closer to the events of The Force Awakens, so I can't wait to see these things intertwine. But first, we have Poe Dameron, who is so close to getting Lor San Tekka back from Agent Tarek. So this issue is all about them, the Resistance, trying to track down where the heck Tarek went, because he did end up stealing Leia's ship, and she thought she had a tracker on him, and turns out he threw it out. So now he's out wherever he is, and then he's making a deal with the First Order, saying, look, if I give you Lor San Tekka, you are going to take this cybernetics that are controlling me as your slave out of my head, so I have my free will. And he comes prepared, because he pretty much bends the will of Phasma to get this thing off his head. And at the end of the issue, we have Tarek, who has given the location of Lor San Tekka to both the Resistance and the First Order, hoping that they both kind of destroy themselves if they get to Lor San Tekka at the same time. So I want to talk about the things that I enjoyed about this issue. First of all, I like seeing the Raddus. That is the command ship of the Resistance. I like seeing it before the events of The Force Awakens. This was pretty neat. And I like to start seeing these Last Jedi types of ships and whatnot start to seep into the canon novels, the comics, of course. It's going to be fun. I always enjoy seeing that. They did a lot of that with Rogue One. I also did enjoy seeing the Absolution, which if you read Phasma is very prominent in that book. It's basically the command ship of Phasma, I think, for the most part. Another thing I liked is Terex, and he's just this very great villain. I mean, for a couple of issues, he was this robot, right? So they are building him up to be this very subservient person to Phasma. And now at the end of this, at least at the end of this initial run here, we are seeing that he is becoming his own little mastermind. And he is, you know, basically almost going to kill himself with this poison to make it so that Phasma can't torture him long enough to get the information. So he's a brilliant person and strategist in trying to get what he wants, and it's actually working. I also did enjoy the relationship that is, you know, continued with Kaori and Snap, and how, you know, they're saying, and you know, it's planning for an end, because whenever characters like this are talking about how they're going to meet up one more time and talk about all this romance and crap like that, you know, something bad is probably going to happen with Carrie, especially since we don't see her at all in The Force Awakens or Last Jedi. It's pretty obvious that she's probably going to die. And, you know, just in general, I just want to say, like, we are getting so close to The Force Awakens in this comic issue. We do know that they are going past The Force Awakens, I think, maybe. At least they're going into The Force Awakens, giving us some of those behind-the-scenes things that we didn't see in the movie, but were in the books, and maybe other things newer that we haven't even heard about at all. So next week, you guys can look forward to Star Wars Rebels returning for its final 3 episodes on Monday, as well as Dr. Aphra issue number 17 hitting store shelves on Wednesday. Make sure you guys go out there and support your local comic book store. So I want to talk to you guys now in the comment section below. What did you think of Thrawn issue number 1 for the comic adaptation? Did you actually read the novel? What did you think about it? Also, how are you enjoying the Darth Vader series? Are you liking it as much as I am? And are you excited as I am for the Poe Dameron series to finally get into the Force Awakens material? Let's talk about it all in that comment section below. Also, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I have plenty of other Star Wars content to keep you guys satisfied on a weekly basis. And I just started doing recently my Star Wars miniature gaming type videos. I've done a couple on X-Wing, as well as the forthcoming miniature tabletop battle game Legion. So make sure you check them out and subscribe so you never miss another video. I'm Starrapter. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.